The Recovery Kernel. Catharsis and Emergence Series. The Chrysalis. Nature Study, Creature Archetypes, and the Science of Becoming. Catharsis, the word and what it actually means. Classical building the Centurian, from the Greek kappa theta alpha rho sigma iota, purification. The release of what was held too long. Catharsis has two origins that meet in one meaning. Hippocrates used it medically, for the purging that cleared pathological accumulations from the body. Aristotle used it aesthetically, for the purging of pity and fear that great tragedy produced in its audience. The bridge between the two, in both cases, catharsis is what happens when something accumulated, held, and pressing against the container is finally released. The person in recovery is holding something. The weight of consequence, of loss, of the specific shame that accumulation produces. Catharsis is not the forgetting of that weight. It is its release, the conversion of held weight into something that passes through the system and leaves differently than it arrived. The container does not disappear. The pressure inside it does. Greek tragedy provided the container in the classical world, the amphitheater, the shared story, the collective witness, the ritual frame that permitted full emotional intensity without destroying the person feeling it. Nature provides a different kind of container. The creature doing what it was always designed to do, dissolving, navigating, returning, emerging, gives the watching person a frame for what is happening inside them. What catharsis requires. Section 2, the pupal stage, the biology of dissolution. Classical building the Centurian, the butterfly was always in the caterpillar. The imaginal discs were always there. What science actually knows about holometabolous metamorphosis is stranger and more beautiful than the metaphor that has been made of it. When the chrysalis seals and transformation begins, the immune system initiates a process that in any other context would be called catastrophic organ failure. Digestive enzymes flood the body cavity. Muscle tissue, fat bodies, most organs, broken down into what biologists call organismal soup, a rich nutrient solution containing unstructured biological material. What does not dissolve? The imaginal discs. These are clusters of undifferentiated cells present in the caterpillar from the beginning, dormant, protected, waiting. They are the blueprint. They survived the entire caterpillar life unexpressed. The caterpillar's immune system attacks everything and specifically does not attack the imaginal discs. In the organismal soup, the imaginal discs activate. They organize the dissolved material around themselves. They build the wings, the compound eyes, the different respiratory system, the proboscis. The butterfly is built from what the caterpillar dissolved into. Section 3, the creature archetypes. 10 studies in transformation. Each creature below is a specific study, not a general metaphor. The biological facts are accurate. The recovery parallel is earned, recognized in what the creature actually does. Read these as you would read a field guide, with specific attention to the actual life cycle, to what the creature has genuinely solved that you are also trying to solve. The monarch butterfly, Danaus plexippus. The monarch navigates 2,000 to 3,000 miles from Canada to specific forests in central Mexico, forests its great-grandparents left 4 generations ago, that it has never visited. The ancestral information required to find that specific mountain, those specific oyamel fir trees, is encoded in the monarch's neurology without being transmitted through individual memory. The monarch navigates by multiple simultaneous systems, the sun's position, corrected for time of day using an internal circadian clock, the Earth's magnetic field, and polarized light patterns invisible to human eyes. When these systems appear to conflict, the monarch integrates them and continues. 2. The dragonfly, Order Odonata. The dragonfly spends 1 to 5 years, sometimes up to 17 in some species, as a nymph in the mud at the bottom of a pond. This nymph is a complete and successful creature in its underwater form, a predator, armored, capable of jet propulsion. When metamorphosis arrives, it climbs a reed stem, breaks through the surface of the water for the first time, and waits for its wings to harden. Then it launches into an aerial life capable of flying backward, hovering, and achieving 30 miles per hour. 3. The salmon, Oncorhynchus/Salmo. The salmon is born in a cold freshwater stream, migrates to the ocean, grows, and then returns, navigating by the chemical signature of its birth stream encoded in olfactory memory, upstream against current, climbing waterfalls, enduring predation. Those that complete the return spawn and die. The decomposing bodies of Pacific salmon fertilize the riparian forest along the stream. The nitrogen from ocean-fed salmon bodies is found in the rings of trees hundreds of meters from the water. The salmon's death is how the forest that its offspring will swim through receives nutrients the salmon gathered in the ocean. 4. The cicada, Magicicada, the periodical cicada. The periodical cicada lives underground for either 13 or 17 years, both prime numbers. The prime number life cycle is not coincidence, no predator that emerges every 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12 years can predict or synchronize with a 13, or 17-year emergence. The cicada solve predation with mathematics. When it emerges, billions appear simultaneously, overwhelming any possible predation through sheer abundance. The adult lives for 4 to 6 weeks. Then the eggs are laid, the nymphs burrow in, and the 17-year clock resets. V. The hermit crab, superfamily Paguroidea. The hermit crab must find, evaluate, and inhabit abandoned shells, and change them periodically as it grows, because the shell that fit last year will not fit this year. When a new shell becomes available, hermit crabs form a queue sorted by size. When one crab moves into a new shell, its old shell becomes available for the next, in a cascade of simultaneous exchanges called a vacancy chain. One available shell sets off a chain of improvements throughout the community. The shell change moment is absolute vulnerability, naked, soft, exposed. 6. The lotus, Nelumbo nucifera. The lotus grows from the anaerobic sediment at the bottom of ponds, the most oxygen-depleted, bacteria-rich layer. The flower emerges above the surface into sunlight, pristine. The lotus's surface is superhydrophobic. The microscopic structure of waxy nanoscale bumps means water molecules cannot spread, forming spherical droplets that roll off carrying any contamination with them. The lotus effect has been reproduced in industrial self-cleaning materials. The lotus cannot be permanently soiled because cleanliness is architectural, not cosmetic. The mud that grows it cannot adhere to the surface it produces. Lotus seeds found in an ancient lake bed germinated after 1,300 years. 7. The crow, Corvus brachyrhynchos, American crow. The crow uses and manufactures tools. It caches food and retrieves it weeks later with specific spatial memory. It plays. Juvenile crows have been observed repeatedly sliding down snow-covered roofs for no foraging purpose. Crows remember specific human faces for years, recognizing those who harmed them and teaching the response to their offspring. They hold what biologists describe as funeral gatherings, hundreds assembling around a dead crow, calling, encoding danger information about the location. Wild crows who are regularly fed have been documented leaving small gifts, buttons, foil, pieces of metal, in the feeding location. Objects with no apparent value to the crow, left in reciprocity. 8. The wolf, Canis lupus. The wolf in the pack and the lone wolf are so different in behavior they might be described as different animals. The lone wolf carries chronically elevated cortisol, suppressed play behaviors, impoverished social life, reduced hunting capacity. The wolf in the pack plays, has relationships of specific depth and complexity, hunts cooperatively in ways the lone wolf cannot, mourns its dead. The common image of the rigid dominant alpha is a misreading from captive studies. The natural pack is cooperative, hierarchically flexible, and deeply relational. The alpha is typically the breeding pair, the parents, and the hierarchy is a family structure. 9. The mycelium, phylum Basidiomycota and others. The forest appears to consist of separate trees. Below ground, the mycelium, a network of hair-thin fungal filaments, connects the root systems of neighboring trees into what forest ecologists call the wood wide web. Through this network, trees exchange carbon, nitrogen, water, and chemical signals. A tree under insect attack sends warnings that cause neighboring trees to produce defensive compounds before the insects arrive. A young tree unable to photosynthesize enough receives carbon from the canopy trees. When a large tree dies, it may transfer a final large pulse of nutrients to surrounding trees. The mycelium preferentially routes resources toward trees that are deficient rather than from the weakest to the strongest. The sandhill crane, Antigone canadensis. Sandhill cranes migrate in formations of hundreds to thousands, flying in V formation. The physics: each bird flies slightly offset from the one ahead, positioned in the upwash from the lead bird's wingtip vortices, gaining lift that reduces the energetic cost of flight by up to 25%. The leadership rotates. When the lead bird tires, it drops back and another takes the point. The rotation is not organized by rank but by current capacity. The crane most capable of leading right now leads. The migration would not be completed by any individual crane flying alone. It is completed by the formation. Section 4, the Nature Study Protocol. Classical building the Centurian, doses of nature are pharmacological. They are documented, not metaphorical. Time in natural environments reduces cortisol, suppresses default mode network rumination, restores directed attention, increases BDNF, and produces mood improvement that outlasts the exposure. These are measurable neurological changes, not the effects of simply being in a pleasant place. The embodiment practice. The creature archetypes are not metaphors to read and nod at. They are practices to inhabit. Select one creature whose current situation most closely mirrors yours. Not the one you most admire. The one that most accurately describes where you are right now. Learn it specifically, not from this guide alone. From naturalist literature, documentary footage, field observation if possible. The more specific the knowledge, the more powerful the embodiment. Observe it in the wild if possible. Learn the individual, its preferred perch, its relationship to others. Individual creatures are more instructive than species generalities. Ask, what is this creature doing right now that I am also doing? Not what is it like me in general. What specific behavior, challenge, or solution maps onto my specific current situation? Return to this creature archetype at 30, 60, and 90 days. Your relationship with it will change as your situation changes. A different archetype may be more accurate at each interval. Section 5, the chrysalis as container. Classical building the Centurian, the struggle of emergence builds the wing strength that makes flight possible. A person finds a chrysalis and, watching the butterfly struggle to emerge, cuts it open to help. The butterfly emerges easily, and dies, its wings too weak to function. The struggle against the chrysalis wall pumps fluid into the wings. Without the struggle, the wings do not develop. The helped butterfly cannot fly. The chrysalis is a container, not a prison. It seals the process from outside interference because the interference, however well-intentioned, compromises the outcome. The period of recovery that feels like confinement, the daily structure, the financial triage that says no to everything not on the priority list, the slow cognitive rehabilitation, the grief heavier than expected, is the chrysalis. Not the wrong place. The right container for the specific process happening inside it. Section 6, the emergence. Classical building the Centurian, you are not returning to who you were. That creature has dissolved. Something else is organizing. The butterfly does not continue where the caterpillar left off. It inhabits a different world through different senses with different capacities toward different purposes. It is recognizably continuous with the caterpillar. The hawk moth's conditioned response is continuous, but the form is genuinely different. The emergence and recovery is the same discontinuity. The person who emerges from the full process is not the person who entered the addiction, improved. They are different in form. The imaginal discs organized something that could not have been built without the dissolution. The markers of emergence. The letter to the imaginal discs. Write this out. In your own words. Do not read it to anyone. It is for you. The Chrysalis, closing. Classical building the Centurian, the world is full of creatures who have solved what you are solving. Go study them. The monarch navigating to a place it has never been. The dragonfly nymph in the mud becoming capable of flight. The salmon returning to the beginning carrying the ocean. The cicada waiting with mathematical precision. The hermit crab accepting the vulnerability of the shell change. The lotus growing from specific mud into specific clarity. The crow making gifts and holding memory. The wolf becoming complete in the pack. The mycelium building invisible infrastructure of interdependence. The sandhill crane creating and receiving mutual uplift. These are not decorations for the recovery process. They are field notes from the same territory. The creatures have been solving the specific problems of dissolution, emergence, navigation without a map, the vulnerability of growth, the necessity of community, solving them for hundreds of millions of years, with bodies shaped by that solving. They are the original practitioners of the practice this guide is describing. Go outside. Find one of them. Watch it do what it was designed to do. Ask what it knows about what you are doing. The caterpillar dissolves. The imaginal discs organize. The butterfly dries its wings. The struggle that pumps the wings full is the struggle that makes the flight. And the flight, when it comes, goes further than the caterpillar ever traveled. Recovery Kernel The Chrysalis Crisis, 988 SAMHSA, 1-800-662-4357. Read with, amends to self the full inventory the temple protocols. The dissolution is not the end. The imaginal discs are organizing.